Some say this is the most important time of the season for NFL teams. And the Carolina Panthers coming off a division title, coming off a playoff appearance. It's time to make moves. You don't want to be content with what you did last season. Ike Ekwonu is out with the knee injury. They select the tackle in the draft. Who's the backup now? Andy Dalton, I think, was key for Bryce Young's development. Bryce is now going into year number 4. Andy Dalton's 38, y'all. He's going to be 39 in October, right around the beginning of the season. Maybe time to bring in someone younger. And what you're hearing is they're looking for a new backup quarterback. Who's the quarterback number 2 going to be? Y'all, listen. We see injuries every year in the NFL. We pray nothing happens to Bryce Young. But that quarterback 2 is important. Let's talk about that and more on this episode of the Coach Cherry Show.
It's like the song snitching. Forgetting the past. I'm looking past that. Imagine.
Bryce Young is coming off the best statistical season he's had thus far. Small sample size. He's only played 3 years. But this was his best season statistically. The Panthers are now looking for a new backup quarterback. Hats off to Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton made the Pro Bowl multiple times in Cincinnati. Led the Bengals to the playoffs multiple times. He came in and I thought gave good mentorship to Bryce Young. He was a veteran that provided stability. When Bryce Young was benched, that first game against the Las Vegas Raiders, Andy Dalton balled out. When Bryce Young was first selected, I thought Andy Dalton should have been the starter from day one. Bryce Young's rookie year, I said Andy Dalton should start. Because now some people might say, well, Bryce was the number 1 pick. I get that. That's fine. But I don't believe a number 1 pick at quarterback. You got to be careful going to a bad team. I didn't like throwing Bryce into the fire. I didn't like that. At the very least, what I wanted was let Andy Dalton start the season. Now, what I would have done, I would have started Andy for the entire season. Bryce's entire rookie year, he would have been QB2. Sit back, watch, see the speed of the game, learn the playbook, understand the cadences, the terminology. Just take it all in as a rookie. Now, there may be some games if we're getting blown out or we're blowing somebody else out, you may come in late in the 4th quarter, get a couple of snaps, get some reps in or whatnot. But I would have started Andy Dalton. I think that would have accelerated Bryce Young's career. Bryce Young is there. Frank Reich's the coach. Things don't go well. They get rid of Frank Reich, promote Chris Tabor. Bryce has 2 different coaches in 1 season as a rookie on a bad team. That's just a mess. So when they set Bryce Young in year number 2, and Andy Dalton came in, I said, this is what Bryce should have got his rookie year. And look how Bryce played when he was reinserted into the lineup. Look at how he played when he was reinserted. Balled out the rest of the season. Look at how Bryce Young played this year. Best statistical season of his career so far. Because he got to sit and watch. 3 years with Andy Dalton being a mentor. And now I think when Andy got in last year, when Bryce hurt his ankle, and Andy got in last year, I think it was against Buffalo. Now, some reports are saying he was playing with a broken hand. Don't know. But he just didn't. I think the Panthers saw him and said, okay, he may be your quarterback 3 if you want to keep 3 quarterbacks. If you still value Andy Dalton's mentorship and his wisdom and his experience and knowledge, keep him as quarterback 3. Keep him. You're not paying a lot for him. Keep Andy Dalton. But as far as the quarterback 2, someone you may have to insert at any given moment, the Panthers are looking to find a different QB2. The free agent quarterbacks. Who's a free agent? Who is a free agent? Now, some of these quarterbacks, the Panthers aren't going to be able to. Daniel Jones is a free agent, but you got to believe Indianapolis re-signs him. He was a Pro Bowler had he stayed healthy. Aaron Rodgers is a free agent. He's not coming to Carolina. And you don't want that because he's going to come to start. He wants to start. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a backup. Russell Wilson. I don't. I've heard some people say Russell Wilson as QB2 in Carolina. I don't think I want that. Why not, Coach Cherry? Something about Russ. I think Russ can still play. By the way, I don't think he's done. I think Russ still has ability left. But I think Russ, in Russ's mind, I think he still views himself as a starter. And as an athlete, you should be confident like that. Hey, Cam Newton is not even in the league, and he views himself as a starter. So I think if Russ comes here, he's not looking to be a QB2. I could be wrong. But I think Russell Wilson would come here saying, I want to start. And I don't know what's gone on with Russ on these last 3 teams that he's played for. Something Denver, Pittsburgh, which I thought he did solid in Pittsburgh. They got to the playoffs. But for whatever reason, Pittsburgh didn't bring him back. I don't know why. I guess because Aaron Rodgers was out there. The Giants, he got benched with the Giants. Jackson Dart ended up starting. But it seems like you hear some of his former teammates in Seattle talk about him. I don't know if he's rubbing people the wrong way or something doesn't seem. He's been with 4 teams now. And it just seems like there's some kind of friction. I don't know. Seems like a great person. Russell Wilson seems like a great person. But I don't know what's going on with the. I think Russ is too talented to be on a different team every year. He's too talented for that. So something, I don't know. And maybe it's just coincidence. It could just be coincidence. But because of that, I don't know if I would bring him to Carolina. I don't think Carolina needs Russell Wilson. Marcus Mariota. I like Marcus Mariota. I like Marcus. Now, Marcus is a little older. He's 32. Andy Dalton's going to turn 39 when the season starts, so he's not as old as Andy. Your quarterback, too. Listen to this. Listen to this. You want your quarterback, too, to have a similar skill set and a similar playing style as your quarterback 1. You do. I just think that would be difficult to coach if my QB1 and my QB2 are 2 different players. If my QB1 is a young, mobile, athletic, can improvise, can throw on the move, we roll him out. But if he's that kind of quarterback, a playmaker, and then my QB2 is a pocket passer, a statue, he's older, doesn't move as well, can't improvise. If nothing's there, he's going to throw it out of bounds or take a sack. That means when my QB2 comes in, I got to go to a whole different playbook. No. I want to keep this. It makes practice so much easier. We're running the same plays. You know why? I got the same type of quarterback. If I'm creating my playbook around my QB1, if I'm creating a playbook around Bryce Young's skill set, I want my QB2 to have the same skill set. I don't want 2 different playbooks. Okay, if QB1 is out the game, all right, let's go to our second playbook because he can't do the stuff Bryce did. That's challenging. No, that's too much coaching. That's too much. No, I don't want that. Mariota can move. Marcus Mariota can improvise. So I think if Mariota is at QB2, you can run pretty much the same stuff that you run with Bryce. Zach Wilson, no. Tyrod Taylor, he's 36. He still has some mobility. I don't know if I wouldn't be completely opposed to Tyrod, but Joe Flacco, no. Kenny Pickett, no. Jimmy Garoppolo, no. Mitchell Trubisky, no. Case Keenum, no. Trey Lance. I would have no problem bringing in Trey Lance. He's about the same age as Bryce. I think he's a year older. Same skill set. mobile, athletic, can improvise. Now, you may say Trey Lance hasn't done anything. Well, first of all, I'm not asking him to be QB1. I will say this, though. Your QB1 needs to be good. I'm sorry, your QB2 needs to be good enough to be a QB1 if needed for 3 or 4 weeks. I don't need someone to play at the level of a starter for 17, 18 weeks. I don't need that because you're not my starter. But if my QB1 goes down for a couple, like Bryce did this year with the ankle, can you come in for 2 or 3 weeks and hold it down like a starter? Can you? I think, I just don't think Trey Lance has been in the right situation. I like Trey. I think Trey Lance could do it. I really do. Brandon Allen, no. Josh Allen, no. Carson Wentz, no. Malik Willis, though. Malik Willis. I think some teams may view Malik Willis as potentially a starter. Like, he does good. You got to remember now, again, see, this is what I'm talking about with Trey Lance, with the situation. They say Trey Lance hasn't done anything. Malik Willis was in Tennessee and they let him go. He goes to Green Bay, he plays like a starter. When Jordan Love went down, Malik Willis came in and held it down. Situation matters. Some people are saying they want a QB2 that's going to push Bryce Young. If you bring in Malik Willis, yeah, he may be nipping at Bryce Young's heels. And if you bring in a Malik Willis, what I think you're then saying is you're not sure if Bryce Young is your franchise quarterback. Because if you bring in a Malik Willis, that becomes a competition. Malik, yeah. If I'm saying Bryce Young is my franchise quarterback, I don't think I want to bring in a Malik Willis, although that would be, that's a good 1-2 punch. Kyle Allen, no. Teddy Bridgewater, no. Tyler Huntley. I'm okay with bringing in Tyler Huntley. I don't know. Let me hold off on that. Right now, I have Marcus Mariota and Trey Lance. I have those two. Easton Stick, John Wolford, no. Brett Rippon. Gardner Minshew. I like Gardner Minshew. He's not a Bryce Young type quarterback. But Gardner Minshew is the kind of quarterback, he just makes it happen. I like Gardner Minshew. I do. The only reason I wouldn't bring in a Gardner Minshew, again, is because he's not that moving around. But gosh, now he is able to improvise. I like Gardner Minshew. That would be, if I'm Dan Morgan, that would be tempting. That would be tempting. And he's only 29. He's about to turn 30. Still relatively young. Skylar Thompson, no. Hendon Hooker. They didn't give Hendon. I didn't think they gave Hendon Hooker a chance. Tommy DeVito, Sam Howell. I'd be okay with bringing in Sam Howell. I think Sam can play. I do. I think Sam can play. And Sam's mobile. He's young. What is he, 25? I remember Sam. Jake Browning. I'm okay with that. Connor Bazelak, no. Sam Ehlinger, Jeff Driscoll. If I'm Dan Morgan and I'm putting a list together of potential QB2s, I'm looking at, somebody said Jameis Winston. I would love to have Jameis Winston. The only thing is he's under contract with the Giants. So you'd have to trade if you feel like he's worth it, but you have to make a trade for Jameis Winston. But if I'm Dan Morgan, I'm creating a list of Marcus Mariota, Trey Lance. Malik Willis is tempting. I'm gonna hold off on that. Marcus Mariota, Trey Lance. I like Gardner Minshew. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna say Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell. Those four. I'm trying to grab one of those four. What's your order, Coach Jerry? My order: Mariota, Trey Lance, Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell. That's my order. Backup quarterbacks are important, y'all. Okay, well, watch this. Doug Williams came in week 18, replaced Jay Schrader. Washington, and led them to the Super Bowl. Kept the starting job throughout the playoffs and led Washington to winning the Super Bowl. He was a backup. So that's what I'm saying. Your QB2 needs to be able to come in and play. Jeff Hostetler for the New York Giants. Phil Simms, season-ending injury, week 15, out for the season. Hostetler comes in. Let's go into the Super Bowl and win that thing. When Washington replaced Jay Schrader with Doug Williams in week 8, it's the end of the season. They're not, I could be wrong. Are you thinking, hey, with our backup, we're about to win the Super Bowl? When Phil Simms goes down in week 15 for the New York Football Giants and Jeff Hostetler comes in, are you thinking, oh, the Giants, now they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, what you're thinking is, wow, that just cost them their chance to win the title. Phil Simms went down. Gosh. Now, at that point, they're already having a good season. So, yeah, they'll probably still go to the playoffs, but they'll probably get out of there after one game. That's probably what you're thinking because you got your backup in. Hostetler says, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Kurt Warner. I remember this year, 1999. Trent Green was good too with the Rams. Trent Green has a season, I think it was an Achilles, has a season-ending injury in the preseason. They have to turn to Kurt Warner. Relatively unknown. Kurt Warner says, we're about to be the greatest show on turf. Super Bowl. Super Bowl. QB2 is important. Trent Dilfer. 5 weeks into the 2000 season, people forget the year that Baltimore, the Ravens won, Tony Banks was the starting quarterback. They forget that. Trent Dilfer wasn't even starting. Week 5, they turned the offense over to Trent Dilfer. Now, I know you're going to say the Ravens defense and Jamal Lewis running game. And that's true. I mean, I'm not saying Trent threw for 4,000 yards, but he was the starting quarterback and they won the Super Bowl. I'm giving you backups that have led teams to a Super Bowl. I just gave you Doug Williams. I just gave you Jeff Hostetler. I just gave you Kurt Warner. I just gave you Trent Dilfer. I'm getting ready to give you Tom Brady. Drew Bledsoe went down 2 games into the 2001 season, and the legacy of Tom Brady was born. Brady took over, went on to win that Super Bowl. The rest is history. A backup. Nick Foles. Carson Wentz suffered a season-ending. I remember this in week 14. This was 2017. I remember Carson Wentz was balling. When Carson Wentz went down, I remember people thinking, dang, that's it for Philly. That's it. Nick Foles comes in, Super Bowl. What's the problem? What's the problem? Your QB2 is important. Panther fans, in 2003, Rodney Peete was the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers in week 1. People forget that. I'm talking about the year the Panthers went to the Super Bowl, 2003. Rodney Peete was the starting quarterback in week 1. They sit him at halftime against Jacksonville. Panthers were down 14-0. You know what they put in the game? Jake Delhomme. Jake went on to throw for 3 touchdowns and led the comeback to beat Jacksonville. Led the Panthers to the Super Bowl. Okay. Would Andy Dalton have been able to lead the Panthers to the division title and the playoffs this year if Bryce Young would not have come back from his ankle injury? I don't know. I'm asking. Would he have been able to lead them to the division title and the playoffs? That's what you want from your QB2. That's what you want. We'll see what they do. Now, this Hubert Davis thing with North Carolina, y'all got to stop this. I'm hearing people criticize Hubert Davis. Why are we criticizing Hubert Davis? Hubert Davis and Hubert Davis and Hubert Davis. What about Hubert Davis? The man can coach. I'm not telling you that Hubert Davis is a Hall of Fame coach right now. I'm not telling you he's the best coach in college basketball. I'm not saying he's the late, great Dean Smith or Roy Williams. I'm not saying that. What I am telling you is this: Hubert Davis can coach. Why do you say that, Coach Cherry? Because Tar Heel fans are very tough on Hubert Davis. This is Hubert Davis. This is Hubert Davis's fifth season. It's his fifth season. So he's had 4 completed seasons. Y'all, he's only missed the tournament once. That man missed the tournament and people ran around with their hair on fire. And they forget Roy Williams missed the tournament. Look at Roy Williams towards the end of it. He was missing the tournament. Dean Smith didn't go to the tournament every year. But when Hubert missed it one season, oh my goodness, we got to get him out of there. Get rid of Hubert Davis. The man has won at least 20 or more games in his first 5 seasons. No other Carolina coach has done that. And I'm including Dean Smith and Roy Williams. No other Carolina coach has done that. If you're winning at least 20 or more games do you know how many? You may not be a fan of Hubert Davis. He may not be your number one choice to coach at Carolina. I don't know who you would bring in that is better right now. All the other great coaches are at other schools. I don't know who's sitting out there that you would say, but you don't win 20 or more games every year and you don't know how to coach. You got teams fighting to win 13 and 14 games. This man is winning 20 or more every year. He's been to the NCAA tournament every year except for one, and you're saying he can't? No, that's not a coach that can't coach. No, I don't believe that. He's been to a Final Four and a championship game. His third season, he won the ACC regular season and went to the Sweet 16, and you're saying he can't? In the Sweet 16, he lost to Alabama by 2. He was almost in the Elite 8, and you're saying he can't coach. Stop that. Now, Caleb Wilson is out this season. Caleb Wilson is the only first-round pick on that team. So let's not talk like Carolina's stacked with talent. They got one guy going pro. Who else is going pro? Tell me who else is a lock to be a draft pick. Henry Vassar, we'll see. He may sneak in there somewhere. But as far as a lock, he's got one player. I know Seth Trimble is good, and he's stepped it up since Caleb Wilson is there. I don't see Seth Trimble on anybody's draft board. Nobody's. So, without Caleb Wilson, they're 4-1. Well, who have they played? They beat a ranked Louisville team. That's good. Carolina is 17-0 at home. They've beaten Kansas this year. You're telling me this man can't coach? Wow. They're 17-0 at home. Who else can claim something like that? You might say, well, Duke hasn't lost it. Yeah, so look at the level of programs you're naming. Now, they have Clemson and Duke this week. Caleb Wilson, I think I've heard he's supposed to be back for the Duke game. These guys are 70. No, man, you can't tell me. And you say, well, where's the national title? He can't get them over the hump. If that ain't the silliest. You talking about the same national title it took Dean Smith 20 years to win? See, we don't want to talk about that. That's okay. That's fine. I got the stats right here. We don't want to talk about that. And I think Dean Smith is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Easily. Easily. It took Dean Smith 20 years to win a national title. And then when he won that, it took him another decade to win another one. That thing ain't easy. Mark Few is one of the best coaches we've seen in college basketball, and he doesn't have one. And you don't let me ever hear you say Mark Few can't coach. He's one of the best coaches in college basketball, and he does not. Rick Barnes can coach his butt off. He doesn't have one. Huh? He doesn't have one. There are good coaches walking around that it's tough to win that thing. Jim Boeheim, as great as Jim Boeheim won, he got one. Look how many years Jim Boeheim coached to get one. Nah, man, y'all gotta chill out with that. Where's the national championship? At Carolina, that's what we do. It took that's what you do? It took Dean Smith 20 years. Dean Smith coached about 40 years and got two. And you're telling me that's what we do. Man, stop. Hubert Davis is fine. Roy Williams, okay. Well, you say Roy Williams. Roy. Look at Roy Williams. Took Roy Williams 16 seasons to win a national title. Yep, you heard me right. 16 seasons to win his first national championship. It's not easy, y'all. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's not easy. Now, with Roy Williams had a heck of a run. Roy Williams, from that 2004, that 04-05 season to that 16-17, Roy had like a 10, 11, 12-year run where he was doing the thing. 3 national titles. Roy Williams is doing that thing. From 04, from the 04-05 season to the 16-17 season, Roy Williams went to 4 national titles. Yeah, Roy, that was different. That was different right there. That was different. But my point is this. It took Roy 16 years. Since you're saying, somebody said, Hubert can't get them over the top. Well, it took Roy Williams 16 years to get over the top. It took Dean Smith 20 years to get over the top. And you're judging Hubert in year 5? Stop it. Stop that right now. Hubert Davis is fine. He's fine. And they're going to get a good seed this year. I have Carolina. Now, looking at them, I don't see a national championship team, even with Caleb Wilson. If Caleb Wilson comes back healthy, I have Carolina at least in the Sweet 16. No less than a Sweet 16 appearance, possibly an Elite 8. I think with Caleb Wilson healthy, Elite 8 is their ceiling. I don't see a Final 14. I don't. But, y'all, what are we talking about? No, you cannot say Hubert can't coach. Hubert Davis is fine. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Coach Cherry Show. If you're listening by audio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, and Patreon. Also, hit that like and subscribe button, YouTube. Check out the Coach Cherry YouTube channel. Not just for the Coach Cherry Show, which drops every week, but also throughout the week. Videos, shorts are constantly popping up. We're talking about basketball. We're talking about football, college football, NFL, college basketball, NBA. We're covering it all. Check out the Coach Cherry channel on YouTube for videos daily. Shorts are popping up daily. And the Coach Cherry Show podcast drops every week. Again, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, signing off is Coach Cherry. God bless you.
Gotta keep going. If I stop, what would that be? Come on. Coach, why you tripping's what they'd ask me. So I moved to the front, not the back seat. Run my own race, you won't catch me.